Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Terry McLaurin's contract situation has officially hit a boiling point, and Washington Commanders fans are watching their worst nightmares come to life in real time. What started as a mild standoff has quickly escalated into a full-blown crisis, threatening to derail the team's momentum before the 2025 season even begins. McLaurin, a fan favorite and one of the NFL's most reliable wide receivers, has taken a bold step by skipping the team's physicals as training camp kicks off. This isn't just a missed appointment, it's a statement, one that echoes across the locker room, the front office, and through every Commanders supporter desperately clinging to hope that this situation resolves quickly. General Manager Adam Peters attempted to downplay the tension during a recent media appearance, but McLaurin's absence says more than words ever could. The team star wideout is drawing a line in the sand, and the front office is officially on the clock. Make no mistake, this isn't some petty holdout from a player chasing a vanity paycheck. Terry McLaurin has been everything the Washington Commanders could have asked for and more. Drafted in the third round out of Ohio State, he quickly outplayed his draft status and became the heartbeat of the franchise's offense. He's led by example, played through injuries, and remained committed even during the darkest days of the team's rebuild. So when he decides not to show up for team physicals, it's not a decision made lightly, it's a message, and it's one that exposes the cracks in what was supposed to be a feel-good chapter of the Commanders' resurgence. The team wants to pay him, that's clear, but not at the level he believes he's earned. As McLaurin approaches 30, they're hesitant to hand him the $30 million per year that top-tier receivers command, fearing the age curve might bite them in the end. But here's the thing, Terry McLaurin isn't just another wide receiver. He's the leader of this locker room, the emotional compass of the team, and the go-to target for rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels, who's set to make his debut as the Commanders' signal caller. For a young quarterback, having a trustworthy veteran like McLaurin is more than a luxury, it's essential. Peters knows this. Head coach Dan Quinn knows this. The players in the locker room definitely know this. So why the hesitation? Why the dragging of feet? The Commanders have done the hard part by building a promising roster, assembling a capable coaching staff, and drafting a potential star under center. But none of that matters if they alienate their best player in the process. That's how you take one step forward and 2 giant steps back. The clock is ticking, and patience is wearing thin. Adam Peters is walking a tightrope. On one side, he has the responsibility to manage the salary cap and keep an eye on the long-term future of the franchise. On the other, he's dealing with a player whose absence could send ripples throughout the entire organization. It's not just about missing practices or workouts. It's about what kind of message this sends to the rest of the roster. If a leader like McLaurin can be left hanging, what does that say to the other veterans? To the rookies watching how this unfolds, Peters may be trying to avoid being backed into a corner, but he's already there. The longer this drags on, the more damage it does, not just to the relationship with McLaurin, but to the culture this new regime is trying to build. This isn't just contract negotiation anymore. This is a full-blown test of leadership and vision. What makes this situation even more frustrating is that it was avoidable. Negotiations stalled over the off-season, and while there have been recent attempts to revive talks, the damage may already be done. McLaurin feels disrespected, and once a player reaches that point, it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. There's still time to salvage things, but that window is closing fast, and while Peters and the front office might think they're playing a game of poker, McLaurin just laid all his cards on the table. He's willing to miss camp. He's willing to make this uncomfortable. He's willing to force their hand. That's not a bluff. That's a calculated move by a player who knows his worth and is tired of waiting for others to acknowledge it. The Commanders had a chance to lock him down early. Now they're in danger of losing more than just a few practices. If the Commanders truly believe in building a winning culture, this is their moment to prove it. Great organizations take care of their great players. They recognize leadership, commitment, and production, and they reward it. McLaurin checks every box. He's done everything asked of him, and then some. So why the reluctance? Are they really going to nickel and dime the one guy who's been their most consistent offensive force? Fans aren't blind, they see what's happening. And while many still hold out hope that a deal gets done, the frustration is beginning to bubble. It's not just about Terry McLaurin anymore. It's about whether this franchise can shake off the dysfunction of the past and start acting like a contender, because contenders don't let their captains walk. They don't play hardball with culture setters. They get the deal done and move forward. Let's not forget the ripple effect this could have on the 2025 season. Jaden Daniels is entering the most critical phase of his development, and every rep matters. Every moment he could spend building chemistry with McLaren is invaluable. Taking that away doesn't just hurt McLaren, it hurts the entire offensive unit. Timing, trust, communication, those things don't happen overnight, and now, thanks to this standoff, they're already starting behind schedule. This is supposed to be the dawn of a new era in Washington. A fresh start with a new quarterback, a revamped coaching staff, and legitimate playoff aspiration. But all of that could be jeopardized if the front office can't navigate one of the most important decisions of the offseason. They've said all the right things. Now it's time to back that up with action, because the damage is already being felt. The sad reality is that this situation could get even uglier. If McLaren continues to hold out, the media frenzy will only grow. The distraction will dominate headlines. The locker room could fracture. And worst of all, it will cast a shadow over everything the team accomplishes in training camp. Even if others step up and shine, the elephant in the room remains. Your best player isn't here. And he's not here because he doesn't feel valued. That's a narrative no team wants heading into the season. It undermines trust. It creates division. It sows doubt. And for a franchise trying to rewrite its identity, it's the last thing they need. The Commanders have made tremendous progress over the last year, but they're now facing a crossroads. And if they choose the wrong path, the consequences could echo far beyond this season. At this point, the only acceptable outcome is a new contract, one that rewards McLaren for his past, respects his present, and believes in his future. There's room to compromise. There's room to get creative. Structure the deal in a way that protects the team, while still giving McLaren the financial respect he's earned. But the time for caution is over. The time for negotiation is now. Both sides need to feel urgency, because the longer this drags out, the more irreparable the damage becomes. McLaren isn't bluffing. The Commanders can't afford to call his hand and hope he folds. He's already shown he's ready to stand firm. It's up to the front office to meet him at the table and find common ground, because without that, everything they've built is at risk of falling apart. The Commanders are standing on a precipice. What they do next will define this season, and possibly the next several years. It's not just about stats or age or cap space. It's about setting a precedent, about showing players current and future that Washington rewards loyalty, effort, and excellence. Terry McLaurin has given everything to this organization. Now it's time for the organization to give back. Fans want to believe in this new regime. They want to believe things have changed, that this isn't the same old Washington. But if this situation ends badly, that belief will shatter, and rebuilding it won't be easy. It's not just McLaurin's future at stake here. It's the team's credibility, their identity, their soul. So, Commanders, what's it going to be? Will you do what's right, or let pride and hesitation ruin everything you've worked so hard to build? If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. In what can only be described as a stunning twist in the NFL offseason narrative, whispers are growing louder around the league that star safety BUDDA Baker has inked a deal with the Washington Commanders, while neither the player nor the franchise has issued an official confirmation. Several close insiders are reporting that the agreement is all but done. If this turns out to be true, it marks one of the boldest defensive acquisitions of the year and perhaps a true power shift in the NFC East. Baker, who has been one of the NFL's most consistent and feared defensive backs over the past several seasons, reportedly chose Washington not just for the contract, but for the opportunity to take the reins of a young, ascending defense hungry for leadership and identity. And according to sources familiar with the situation, Baker wasted no time asserting himself in the locker room. Rumors swirling out of training camp suggest that Baker's presence has already transformed the defensive side of the ball. Within hours of his arrival, several players were overheard calling him the heartbeat of the unit. It's said that defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. has handed Baker significant responsibility in shaping the communication and tone on the field. That's no small task, considering the youth scattered across the Commanders' secondary and linebacker corps. But Baker's track record in Arizona, where he was a 5-time Pro Bowler and a 2-time All-Pro, suggests he's built for exactly this kind of leadership role. This isn't a veteran signing late in his career, looking to cash in one last time. This feels calculated, strategic, and possibly culture-shifting for a team desperate to shake its mediocre image and start building a playoff-caliber defense. Under new head coach Dan Quinn, adding more fuel to the fire. There's buzz that Baker reached out to multiple Commanders' defensive players immediately after the reported deal, setting up late-night film sessions and walkthroughs even before his official practice debut. Sources close to the team have noted that Baker's intensity is palpable, and his commitment is already rubbing off on others. Second-year cornerback Emmanuel Forbes has reportedly been glued to Baker during drills and meetings, hoping to absorb the veteran's wisdom. One source described it as a big brother and little brother dynamic that is already creating ripple effects throughout the defensive backfield. And if you're a Commanders fan, that's exactly the kind of mentorship you'd hope for with such a young and developing roster. Baker's style, fast, physical, instinctive, could be exactly what this unit needs to make a leap from respectable to dangerous. Of course, speculation is still swirling regarding how much the Commanders paid to secure Baker's services. Early whispers hint at a 3-year deal in the $45 million range, with incentives that could push it north of $50 million depending on performance and postseason success. If true, this would make him one of the highest-paid safeties in the league, but most analysts agree he's worth every penny. His football IQ is off the charts, and his ability to play both in the box and as a deep coverage safety gives the Commanders a versatile weapon who can disguise coverages, confuse quarterbacks, and wreck offensive game plans. Even more interesting is the fact that this potential move comes at a time when the Commanders are clearly in a win-now mode after a decade of false starts and front office chaos. This move, if finalized, would signal intent, a clear message to the league that Washington is not here to rebuild. They're here to compete. Behind the scenes, insiders suggest that Baker had multiple suitors, including playoff contending teams like the Bengals and Dolphins, but in the end, it appears he was drawn to Washington's potential, the chance to be a vocal leader, and the opportunity to work with Quinn, who reportedly made a personal pitch that left a strong impression. The coach, known for building elite defenses with the Seahawks and Cowboys, is believed to have promised Baker a freedom to lead in a role that mirrors what Kem Chancellor had in Seattle's Legion of Boom. And if that comparison holds even slightly true, Commanders fans may be witnessing the dawn of a similar defensive renaissance. Though nothing has been officially announced, this might be one of those NFL stories that grows louder by the hour until the team has no choice but to confirm what already feels inevitable. Adding Baker into the mix also raises questions about how the Commanders will structure their defensive packages this season. Sources indicate Quinn is considering a more hybrid look, allowing Baker to roam more freely while also putting added pressure on opposing quarterbacks through disguised blitzes and overloaded fronts. With Baker's speed and instincts, opposing offenses could soon be forced into hesitation, and hesitation in the NFL is deadly. Pair that with the promise of a healthy Chase Young return and an emerging linebacker core, and you have a recipe for a defense that could go from middle of the pack to top 10. With the right cohesion and coaching, NFL insiders are already whispering that Baker's energy is infectious, and more than one assistant coach has reportedly called this the best locker room vibe they've seen since arriving in D.C. But let's not forget what Baker brings off the field. By all accounts, he's a consummate professional, known for his relentless film study, tireless preparation, and high character. That's not just PR spin. Baker was widely respected in Arizona for his dedication and heart, often playing through injuries and never backing down from a challenge. In a league where locker room chemistry can make or break a season, adding someone of Baker's stature could do more than just improve the defense. It could help anchor a team culture that's been drifting for far too long. There's chatter that Baker has already met with some of the offensive leaders, looking to foster unity across both sides of the ball. It's a small gesture, but one that speaks volumes about his mindset. He's not just here to play safety, he's here to build something lasting. And don't underestimate the fan reaction. Social media has already exploded with anticipation, with Commanders faithful flooding timelines with jersey mock-ups, highlight reels, and hopeful predictions. BUDDA in Burgundy is trending across local platforms, and there's a growing belief that this move could finally spark a shift in public perception. After years of front office dysfunction, coaching turmoil, and underwhelming draft returns, Washington fans have been desperate for something to believe in. Baker's rumored arrival feels like more than just a signing. It feels like a statement of purpose, It feels like a challenge thrown down to the rest of the division. And given the current quarterback questions across the NFC East, a reinvigorated Commanders defense led by a playmaker like Baker could wreak serious havoc and flip the balance of power before Week 1 even kicks off. Now, it's important to stress that until the team makes it official, this all remains in the realm of speculation. But rarely does smoke appear without fire, and in this case, the signs are all there. Beat reporters have spotted Baker's agent in Washington's facility, and a well-connected league source mentioned that a locker has already been prepped for him. While the Commanders remain tight-lipped, their silence might say more than words. It suggests they're preparing for a rollout, a big announcement that will send shockwaves through the NFL landscape. And for a team trying to turn the page on years of disappointment, bringing in a tone-setter like BUDDA Baker might just be the perfect first chapter. If the deal is real, buckle up because Washington football is about to feel very different. In a league where fortunes can shift with a single signing, this BUDDA Baker rumor could be one of the most consequential developments of the offseason. The Commanders, long seen as a team stuck in the mud, may have just found their engine. And if Baker lives up to the hype, and let's be honest, he usually does, then Washington's defense won't just be better, it might become elite. It might become feared, and in an NFL where every inch counts and every mistake is magnified, that kind of edge could be the difference between another forgettable season and a playoff run. So while the NFL world waits for official confirmation, the message is already echoing through the halls of the Commanders facility. BUDDA's here, and everything just changed. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.